This is the Brew World Order Podcast.
Welcome to the Brew World Order Podcast. My name is Mike Curtin. If you haven't subscribed yet, just do it. Doesn't hurt. Push the button. This is episode number 26, and in this episode I sit down with Tom Paynter of No Label Brewing Company in Katy, Texas. Tom talks to me about how his team is dealing with the COVID situation down in Texas, and how even though they had not one but two different shutdowns, they still managed to keep all their workers on board, which is quite impressive. Well, saddle up, y'all, because we're taking a trip down south. Crack open a beer and enjoy the podcast. Hey guys, I'm Mike Curtin. This is the Brew World Order Podcast, and today I'm with Tom Paynter of No Label Brewing Company in Katy, Texas. About 10 years ago, Tom was doing some freelance videography and marketing consulting for multiple businesses, including some breweries. After doing it for a bit and spending time in the brewing industry, a friend of his said, "Hey Tom, maybe it's time we get into the business as well." So one of his clients and the owners of No Label at the time, Brian and Jennifer Royo, offered them a stake in the business. And after a while, he soon became the majority owner. And I'm here with Tom today. Tom, thank you for joining me, man.
Hey, thank you.
So, the big question that's on everybody's mind is everything bigger in Texas?
Yes. In terms of the COVID is as big as it can be right now in Texas.
The problems are as big as it gets, I guess.
Yeah. At the moment, yes. Great lows and great highs. And certainly right now we're in probably one of the most challenging parts in a long while. I mean, you guys are kind of like really got through the bulk of it, but now we're like, geez, we're in the thick of it down here.
Yeah, so I spoke to a lot of people in the surrounding areas like Jersey and Pennsylvania and places like that, and obviously New York, and everybody's kind of like slowly starting to open up outside, drinking and eating and whatnot. Can you kind of give us a timeline how it's been in Texas for you and how you've been kind of coping with all that?
So about mid-March, St. Patrick's Day, like to be exact,
right.
We got the kind of the shelter-in-place order. Like all of a sudden, things just started. Like a week before, it was all kind of rainbows. Everyone was kind of like, don't worry about it. It's not going to be a thing. And I wasn't really like one of those exactly, but then certainly all of a sudden it was a problem. And then we got shelter in place orders. Lockdown started to go into effect, and so the brewery, like all breweries, we all immediately had to just shut down, and we kind of had curbside where people could like come and pick up beer if they wanted to and leave, but like tap rooms were closed, bars were closed, so pretty much curbside and grocery stores, and that went on for about 2 months, and then our governor, he just kind of decided to kind of slowly rip the Band-Aid off because the numbers, were going down and they were getting manageable, but he was, big on getting it back to business, and
right.
Then as that happened over the course of a month, we were kind of the last ones to reopen. We enjoyed a solid, few weeks, and then of course, summer's headed, and those numbers are rising up. People, just started to think, well, it's over, and it's like, it's not over. You still got to be, you got to be careful. You got to be cautious. And we just, numbers rose up. We got shut down again, and then we've been in almost a yin-yang ever since down here of kind of opening and closing. It's also kind of a weird world down here where breweries are considered to be bars.
Right.
Even though we have all these tanks and all these equipment and brewers and recipes, and we have hot contracts with farmers, in the eyes of our great state, there's really no difference between us and a bar that's open at 2 a.m.
Really?
And it's just, and it's all nuanced and complicated because I know plenty of people that have great bars that are mostly kind of these outside patio bars that we're practicing social distancing and limiting parties and having people wear masks, doing everything they need to do in order to kind of have a good time responsibly. But it's just everyone's just kind of being dinged across the board right now, and especially breweries, and it's definitely probably the most challenging time for craft beer in the state of Texas. So, and in most places, I imagine.
Yeah, I would say so. It's sad, it's sad state of affairs right now. Just everybody's hurting,
Yeah, it's and you're trying to. It's incredibly frustrating because we have sales reps and we have brewers, and we're trying to grow, and we have these people that are connected to us, like food trucks and the musicians that come out, and all that kind of community involvement.
Right.
And it's just all those people are kind of SOL right now, and there's so many pieces that we're connected to, and if we're not moving, they're not moving, and it's really frustrating, and every week is kind of like you're making incredibly hard calls or kind of compromises on your brand, pivot, kind of doing wherever you can to kind of keep the family intact while trying to also move forward.
Right. So where are you at right now in this whole shutdown, lockdown, being open, being closed process?
Well, it looks like right before we started talking, we have down here we have TABC. It's Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission.
Right.
They
Okay.
kind of detail all our laws and all the changes to the laws, and so they just sent an updated a guidance. So it looks like we're probably closer now to reopening than before. But we also have a hurricane about to come here in about 48 hours. So,
I did see that. That sounds exciting. That sounds very interesting. I'm sure.
Every week is something new.
Yeah, never a dull moment. So, besides the whole COVID situation and hurricanes, what would you say was one of the hardest adjustments you had to make from when you first became owner of the company?
When Brian and Jen first got the company, No Label was the third brewery in Houston.
Okay.
And when they left, Houston had about 60 plus breweries. So in a small amount of time, the craft beer scene for Houston and also all around Texas is just completely shot through the roof.
Right.
And with that, because it's a great day, it's a great time to be a consumer, but I know no Label just wasn't in the position to really compete aggressively. There's kind of like muscles that everyone kind of didn't have a bit. And one of the things from where I came from, I really appreciate the ones that move aggressive versus the ones that move slow. Certainly, when there's 3 breweries in town, you don't need to move that fast.
Right, it's a lot to go around.
Bar only has 12 taps, and you have 60 people playing for those taps. And, you gotta think smarter. You gotta think more aggressive. We went through a lot of rebranding and kind of figuring out who best to do like labels, going into beer recipes, and kind of changing the way we did systems. Installing pilot batch systems so we could just turn out more small batch beer quicker because, as it turns out, people that enjoy craft beer get really excited about craft beer.
Right. Yes.
So
true.
The first year was, from just a business brand perspective, that was about kind of who we are and who we are going to be going forward. It was certainly challenging, and albeit still holding on to the thing that No Label is. And No Label is this kind of community-focused brewery. We're about 15 miles outside of Houston, constantly trying to interact and do things with Florida community, whether that be putting on parties for firefighters or members of the police union.
Very cool.
Recently we did recently, like when this COVID thing like kicked off, we were trying to find ways to bring people to our drive-through, and we had bought thousands, like about 6,000 just masks. And this is back in April when where we were, the masks weren't quite a thing. And, But we were like, we're probably going to need some. Let's get some. And then we got them in, and the second we got them in, in our county, they issued a mandate that everyone had to have masks. We started selling them for a few hours, and then immediately we shifted our policy. And we're like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to, like, if you come in here and, like, you know, you buy anything, we're just going to give you a mask. And then if you're a first responder or police officer or firefighter or a Healthline hero, you just guys come in and, you know, all the masks you want, come and get them.
Awesome.
At the end of the day, right? I mean, we're all kind of in this together, and
of course, yes.
Yeah.
So you were talking about how there's multiple breweries now, and when they first started, there was only 3 in that area.
Yeah.
Like, how do you go about keeping up with the competition? I know you had mentioned a couple of small things, but is there also like a team that you have now, or was it just a complete rebranding, or do you, like, you know, is there like a marketing team and all that involved?
So yeah, we expanded our marketing team a little bit, but some of that was also just kind of freeing up our brewers to really start doing more like creative batches, because I think coming into that we had as little as kind of 6 beers like really hitting the market. And then we had probably another dozen or so that would like be in the tap room,
right?
Like at a time, and it's pretty wild the amount of liquid we're pushing out there, and also branding and labels. But yeah, definitely fine tuning the team. We've added some great additions. We have our buddy Randy. He's from Brooklyn. We hired him. He's the new GM. He's fantastic. And then, like, we brought on some people on the sales side and a lot of, like, kind of the back of the house and kind of help. Like, the team is phenomenal. It's as perfect as I would want it right now, which is kind of why it's so frustrating to be dealt, like, kind of the blow of having everyone wants to go 200 miles per hour, and we're stuck here in the school end.
Right. You're being held back when you want to just let loose.
Yeah, for sure, man.
What qualities of yours that you possess that make you a good business owner?
So after having done the marketing freelancing for like nearly a decade,
right?
It was there's a lot of businesses that or people I would work for, and some were like, but others you would really just start to like emulate, kind of take the best qualities of your best customers,
right?
And definitely not afraid of the hustle. The whole idea of like rising to the occasion. I'm not a big fan of it is what it is type of mentality. I mean,
I can relate. I can relate definitely. So
yeah, the idea of like sitting around letting something like happen. It's like, no, I'm not gonna. Like, we gotta push. We gotta make some noise.
Yeah, let's make some moves. Make it happen.
For example, recently, like, you know, this past whole yin yang of opening and closing, there's people that are like, hey, we just open to see, sit on our hands and wait for the world to reopen. And I was just like, it's like, man, you either make some noise or you become complicit in your own destruction, you know?
Right. Or start preparing for the moment it does open up, at least.
But that's also like one of the things we did during this whole like closure. We're here, we still have time, so we started doing like renovations as best we could, like on the property, and
right.
And just fine tuning things. And like, you know, there's still work to be done, even though we're in a kind of this like weird state. So yeah, I mean, I think freelancing just all that time being not really. The only paycheck I got was the paycheck I earned. So I think that mentality definitely just keep on going. It's like, and always kind of pushing new ideas forward. I mean, I imagine like what's the story of this podcast? It doesn't just come out of nowhere, right?
It actually, generated slowly. It was more of a, I'd love to open a brewery at some point, and then, it's like I'm not really a big schooling guy. I'd love to talk to people that own breweries. You know what? I bet that would be a great show. I think I should do that. I'm sure people can learn from little things that, even mistakes or things that people, did along the way. And it kind of just unfolded. And I had no experience doing it. I did go to audio recording school, but it just kind of happened, and I was kind of learning as I went. And here I am.
Yeah. I mean, I love stuff like that. You know, you never want to be the guy that's like, you know, you got a good idea, you talk about it, and you don't really, you know, it's like somehow it just doesn't. It's nice to be able to follow through and like, yeah. So with the brewery stuff too, it's like constantly like we have good ideas or someone has a good idea like within the team,
Right.
and sometimes I'm kind of, you know, I think from their perspective, I'm like, all right, who will be the champion of these ideas that like help them go through, and sometimes that's me, and sometimes that's my business partner or like whoever. We have a very supportive environment, so it helps.
Right. It's like a thinking pool, you know?
Yes. Yes. The team we have is like the really like fantastic, incredibly driven people, but also they're the same people that like I think I've had a hangover with, you know, every member of our team, like which is nice.
So during that whole COVID situation, I know there was a lot of shutdowns and stuff like that, but did you have to like lay anybody off?
No. It's still to this day haven't.
That's great. That's amazing.
We hired a new sales rep during this because
Wow.
If your only way to generate revenue is either a drive-through or selling to grocery stores, you better sell your ass to some grocery stores.
Yeah,
so
right.
we've been fairly lucky now. We took advantage of, we got the PPP from the feds. That helped a bit, and you know we've kind of been pretty creative with costs and reaching out to some of our partners and vendors to bring things, you know, down a bit. Or it's definitely stressful, and it's coming to the point that something definitely needs to happen. There's no question about that. There's only so much creativity like you can do, but you know the bottom line is the bottom line. So
Right.
we're pretty optimistic. Like I imagine like we'll be open sooner rather than later. We also it could be a lot worse. We are down, but like we had our annual review last week, and we were going through just kind of all the numbers, and it's not as bad as it definitely could be. You know, we're down about 30% overall, which
Wow.
isn't terrible.
No, that's not terrible considering I've heard crazier numbers.
Yeah, and it's definitely our tap room is killing us, but our distro numbers are coming in just fierce.
Really?
But the problem with the distro is we also have a can shortage that's going on in America.
That I've heard, yes.
So it's like our can numbers are fierce, and we're getting all these new placements, but it's like we got to get this tap room open because eventually we're gonna hit the wall of no cans. So,
yeah. That's a scary thing. Let's hope that doesn't happen. You know, let's hope they keep pushing them out because that seems to be the only way that people are able to get it now. I mean, I went to a brewery the other night with some guys, and we had to sit outside, but it was at Evil Twin.
Okay.
In Brooklyn, and they're doing, you know, small stuff because they have an outside sitting area. But other than that, every other brewery I've been to, it's only just pretty much pick up, or you know, you could drink outside, but you're buying a 4-pack and you're drinking outside, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So that's where we're at right now, which is it's weird times. With all this stress and madness and craziness, I'm sure you strive on it and thrive off of it. But is there any need for a mental break from all of it?
Yes.
Yeah. And what does that look like for you?
I went on a road trip, an impromptu road trip the other day. You know, I just kind of started driving west, and it doesn't take long from us to get to the Texas country. So
okay.
I just started heading that way. That was kind of a It's kind of a brag. I actually was trying to get up to where you guys are, but I was thinking. I wasn't thinking everything through. I'm a big runner. I'm very enthusiastic about running.
Okay.
And then I'm a member of NYC Runs.
Oh, really?
They were putting on this, or they are putting on a thing like next week. This lousy T-shirt race, and I signed up for it. And I was like, it's the first race with people in the country. And then they sent me a message. They're like, yeah, you actually can't get in here. You have to quarantine for 2 weeks. I was like,
oh boy,
why? But yeah, because I try to head up to New York about twice a year. You know, I hang out in Brooklyn half the time, the city the other half.
Really?
Well, the other half, yeah.
Awesome. You gotta let me know when you're up here, man. We'll have a beer together.
Yeah, man.
Well, when things get better, of course.
Whenever that is. I appreciate the accolades of that area a lot. I'm like, there's so much to do, you know?
Yeah. There's a lot to do. New York's a great town. I mean, living here it could get a little crazy, but it's definitely always something to do, you know? Always. No matter what time it is. So, I always ask this to people. What was your gateway beer into the craft beer world?
My gateway beer was an Imperial Pumpkin Stout.
Okay.
Called Divine Reserve 9. It was from St. Arnold Brewing Company in Houston, Texas. That was the first real craft beer that I had that really kind of just knocked me up. Just kind of wow, what is this? And,
what have I been missing my whole life?
Yeah, it was just kind of and it was at that point I had had beers, of course,
right.
or some craft beers, but that was the one that really kind of was like, oh, this isn't just kind of gasoline, or it's not this black tar. This is actually pretty delicious.
Right.
And then from there, those super dark drinks that I couldn't stomach probably years before became accessible to me pretty soon after. Got on the barrel age train and kind of never looked back.
Yeah.
And then as the years go on, those tastes change, and all of a sudden it's hazy Napas, or currently I'm big on I've become very just a session, accessible, give me some Pilsners, give me some Kolsch's, I'm big on, summertime too, so,
Right, that's true.
It's hot as hell, but I like a nice light beer, and I like to usually have 6 of them, so I can just kind of enjoy my day.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. No,
I'm about keeping the conversation going. It's kind of my shtick.
Yeah, instead of slurring your speech halfway through.
Yeah, well, if some people they come to our brewery, and we have a barrel aged wee heavy.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, it is delicious. It's called Perpetual Peace, and Perpetual Peace is kind of where it puts you. And some people will come in and just right off the bat, they're like, "Give me one of those." It's like, all right, keep an eye on this guy. He's trouble.
He's going in. He's going in real heavy.
Yeah, he's on a mission. It's strange how the craft beer trends just keep on. It's hazies and now people are like, hey, are you guys gonna do a seltzer? It's like, I don't know if I want to. But...
Yeah, I mean that seems like to be the way everyone's going, unfortunately, and I'm very big against the seltzers.
I am principally against the seltzers, but as someone was also telling me, it's like, are this principle against making money?
Exactly.
And I was like, what a conflict.
Unfortunately, yeah, right. Unfortunately, that's the way it's going. And the whole sour movement too, because I was against it because I've tried sours and I'm like, and then I tried one the other night that was like a slushy sour. I don't know if it was just thick. It tasted basically like a smoothie, and it was at Evil Twin, and it was Stay Home. ET Stay Home or something like that. And
Okay.
it basically tasted like a raspberry smoothie, and I was like, man, I've been trying all the wrong sours. I'm like, this is delicious. This is insane. I was like, it's so like fruity and just like it's like, oh, so well done. But it's shocking because I would never be into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not like I said, I'm more of an IPA or a stout or like I like stuff like that, and Imperial, and that just like kind of like blew me away. I was shocked. But yes, so if somebody came to you, which I'm sure they do often, and had asked you about opening up their own place, what advice would you give them?
I would say area is like the most important thing. Know your surroundings because the community is key, and really that's who you're servicing.
Okay.
And then probably second to that would just be make sure you got a good team because no one wants and should do this stuff alone.
Yeah, that's it's a lot to take on, especially if you want to be successful.
Yeah. So.
But
and also, if you're gonna have a team, make sure to not be an asshole. That's also
be good to the people that put money in your pocket. Yes.
Yes.
That's a good point to make. Because I've worked for plenty of bosses that were assholes, and it's not fun to work for them. Makes your job that much harder. So I have a little segment called Quick Fire 5. It's just 5 quick questions.
I like it.
Couple word answer. Beer related, of course.
Nice.
Ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. One of No Labels beers that you would recommend someone try?
El Jefe Hefeweizen, 1980 Kolsch, Hefe Hitters. It's our El Jefe with oranges and tangerine, perfect for a hot day like today.
Nice. What's the temperature like there right now?
The temperature like right now is a nice and balmy 98 degrees.
Oh.
But with the humidity, it feels like about 106.
Lovely. So yeah, that would taste lovely right about now. Favorite brewery other than your own?
Probably St. Arnold, like a brewing company. It's the OG. It's the one that introduced me to craft beer.
Right.
But if I'm in your neck of the woods, it's Other Half for me all day long.
Other Half. All right. Favorite style of beer?
Changes like the wind, but like right now, I do appreciate a good hazy or a good pilsner. So I'm kind of
okay.
I'm jumping between those. Yeah,
that's fine. Barrel aged, imperial, or both?
Barrel aged.
Barrel aged. Okay. And the last beer that you drank that blew you away?
Last beer that I drank that blew me away. I had a double dry hop IPA out of Parrish in Louisiana.
Okay.
And I can't remember the exact name. I was just pulling through, but it was delicious. It was delicious. It might have been like Ghost in the Machine, their double dry hop version. I want to say it probably was.
I think somebody else had mentioned that before. I believe I have to go back in the podcast, but somebody else I think mentioned that. Somebody mentioned a Parrish beer, and
Parrish is it's an amazing place to go to. It's about 2 hours from here, and it's one of this. You blink and you miss it type of roads,
right.
It looks like you're going to your certain death, but then all of a sudden this brewery emerges out of nowhere, and you're just like, holy hell! And the beers they are quite phenomenal. I think no one I've seen does hazies and double dry hops as well as those guys.
I'll definitely have to take a trip there at some point.
Yeah.
If they get recommended by 2 different brewery owners, yeah, definitely have to make a trip.
Yeah.
That's all I got for you, man.
All right, man. Well, it was a good conversation. I would love to come out and see you whenever I can go out and see people again.
Yeah, well, you know my number, so you can give me a call when you're in the neighborhood. I'm Mike Curtin for the Brew World Order podcast with Tom Paynter from No Label Brewing Company. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, man.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to my interview with Tom Paynter of No Label Brewing Company in Katy, Texas. Whether you're passing through, live in the area, or just visiting a friend nearby, you should definitely check him out. Every other Sunday, I'll be releasing a new episode, so subscribe, and you'll never miss one. Also, be sure to check out our social media accounts for updates of the podcast. I'm Mike Curtin for the Brew World Order podcast. You stay safe out there.